Carolina in Syracuse on a Saturday night in the Dome. Jae'Lyn Withers beats Van Allen Lubin for the tip. Ron Groover, Jamel Spearman, Brent Hampton, our officiating crew. And away we go with a Syracuse possession. Orange coming off of a loss at Miami on Tuesday, 91-84. Eddie Lampkin had a monster game that day. He is double teamed now and dribbles the ball out of bounds. A good trap for Carolina and a Syracuse turnover as we look at the starters for North Carolina. They are brought to you by CDW. Same five as last game for Hubert Davis, R.J. Davis with Cadeau and Trimble the guards, Van Allen Lubin, and then Jae'Lyn Withers making another start, having been on the bench most of the year.
The challenge for Carolina has been getting R.J. Davis the ball enough so he can impact the game with his playmaking and his experience in field.
Rolls it into Lubin, very high percentage shooter, leaves it short. Starting five for Syracuse, J.J. Starling, 19 a game, their leading scorer. Taylor and Moore the guards, Davis the Delaware transfer, and Lampkin over from Colorado, his only year in Syracuse. Leading the ACC in offensive rebounds, second in double-doubles. He has been a beast. Here's Starling. Out of a double, into Davis. Good mid-post player, and Davis bricks the first Syracuse shot.
I like the look, though. That short roll is going to be there, particularly against the smaller lineup. You just got to be able to shoot over a smaller guard.
And it is going to be a smaller lineup, most away for Carolina, as it's been all year. Cadeau, a lot of assists, a lot of turnovers. There's the ladder. Here's Lucas Taylor. And Davis will get rid of it to Lampkin. Lampkin working against Lubin. A drop off. Deflected away from Jae'Lyn Davis, and a steal for R.J. Davis. 3 turnovers between these teams in not yet 2 minutes.
I think the challenge for Syracuse is playing to your advantage, which is Lampkin down low, but not being too obvious about it, which allows Carolina to just adjust to the ball.
Cadeau, tough catch for Lubin, and this is another one. And the ball deflects out to Withers. Cadeau will take it himself this time, right into the body of Taylor and roll home the game's first points.
I like when he does that more, and when he does it early, he can get where he wants to go off the bounce. And you and I have done enough games where you've heard me say that. Like, a guy that can get where he wants to go off the bounce is the most dangerous guy on the floor, but he needs to be able to score it first.
Davis passes up a 3. They get Lampkin isolated with Lubin, and he bullies him under the hoop. And a whistle called by Brent Hampton under the play.
That was a proper call, Kevin. That was a bully move. And if that's the thing, if Lampkin is quick about his decision-making down low when he gets a catch, he's going to keep away from the double team. Much easier if you make a quick, decisive move, avoid the double, dominate the possession down low. Carolina is going to have to adjust quickly defensively.
Lampkin at 22 and 13, plus 6 assists. No turnovers in the win or the loss to Miami Tuesday. And Adrian Autry said he felt like they should have gotten the ball more despite the 22. Here's what Eddie's done the last couple of games. 8 double-doubles in the last 11 and playing 30 minutes a game for Syracuse, even more than that, most of their games in ACC play.
Most importantly, he was really friendly today, and he complimented both of us on our suits.
He did.
He didn't make fun of your glasses.
What glasses? Nobody saw glasses in the open. Sometimes you just forget a contact lens, you know? Happens to the best of us and the worst of us. Foul was on Starling. Cadeau as the first 4 points for North Carolina, which brings Jalen Washington onto the floor for the first time, replacing Lubin. There's a little pressure.
I like this. I would like to see this from Carolina for 40 minutes.
And it leads to a steal. Trimble, no. Withers, no. Out for Cadeau, and Davis will get a clean look. And he will miss a 3.
I don't
great
care.
looks.
Keep sending it up. You just saw Hubert Davis. Keep it on. Keep it on. If you're going to go small, you've got to capitalize on that as an advantage, right? Make your disadvantage an advantage. Pick the pace of the game up, which also means pick up the pressure in the game. Make Syracuse deal with urgency early in this one. I saw it late last game, and I loved it.
This fits into what Hubert Davis told us at shoot-around today. We've got to be dogs. We've got to know who we are. Starling tipped away by Washington. Another rejection. Much more emphatic on the second for Washington, who's been a shot-blocking machine of late.
But that's what the little extra pace and urgency does. It makes Cuse play fast, which you have to get the game fast and make it your advantage if you're Carolina.
Davis from Cadeau. Shot fake Taylor. Step back three, grabbed by Lampkin. Just 1 for 7, but there are some really good looks early. As you like to say, clappable misses for USC.
Clappable misses. I'm glad you're catching on.
Thank you. Elijah Moore, very good three-point shooter. The freshman, his pass knocked away. Back to Moore, rolling with Lampkin. Leads it short, gets his miss. Washington was in the way, able to alter the trajectory, Moore's mind. And Cadeau turns on the Jets, leaves the layup short.
I don't mind it. I like the tempo that they're putting on this game, and they've been really consistent about seeking that out. And now you got two young guns about to check into the game for Carolina, fresh bodies.
Ian Jackson and Drake Powell. Davis rocks his way to the right side of the paint. Physical senior out of Newark, Delaware. Jae'Lyn Davis averaging 8.5 on the year. Into Washington, Starling mauls him, and that is a significant one. Already the second foul on Syracuse's leading scorer. So a tough decision for Adrian Autry coming up. So we take a look at the state of the ACC when we come back. Optimism and positivity, which is hard to do in the face of this, but every time he says to us, he loves his guys. He has a real, genuine joy about him, and it's just a team he's trying to get to understand the rhythms of the season, understand the little things that can take him out of games for a couple of minutes here.
Yeah, look, I think part of why it's so tough for the ACC right now is because of the strength of the SEC, right? You see another conference seemingly doing this, and this is a new world the last few years. It's a new world in college basketball. The SEC has just figured it out. Well, a lot of things were in place leading up to this. And in a way, the ACC's played a little catch up. I don't like that the reality is it's about money. Yeah, that's just kind of how it is. And at some point, we've got to figure out how to make it not the case, right? Let's find some consistency. Then you keep good coaches around. People understand how you can actually compete and win at this level with consistency.
5-4 the Carolina lead here. Washington went 1 for 2. And as we mentioned, that was Starling's second foul, but he stays on the floor for Syracuse. Jackson shot fakes a three, step back, and Ian Jackson, who did not hit a field goal on Monday, scores on his first touch.
He's just got it. He's got a great feel for the game. He's got to have that short memory we talk about. Just go out and play, make mistakes, play through mistakes, get better because of the mistakes, because his potential is off the charts.
Jake Carlos, Chris Bell on the floor for Syracuse. Lampkin finishes over the log on to Washington.
Carlos is like Syracuse's Cadeau, right? You know, you're not going to worry too much about him shooting. Times that could hurt you with space on the floor, but his creativity is what just opens the floor. Look out.
Cadeau's second turnover.
I just like that. I mean, the feel Jackson has, the little pump fake, flyby, sidestep, step back behind the three, smooth stroke. He creates great rhythm with that bounce. And Lampkin, look, great find by Carlos. Lampkin almost got this blocked. Washington's everywhere.
Syracuse brings in Petar Majstorovic, freshman from Serbia for the first time. Lampkin, Majstorovic just sealed off some space inside for a clear path.
He doesn't get enough credit for the little things he does, right? They're always beneath the surface. He's physical, he's tough, he communicates, and he does those little things like clear out space for someone else to score.
Now we're going old school in the zone. 2-3 zone the last couple of possessions, and Syracuse has forced back-to-back turnovers.
Now the zone is disruptive, especially when Carolina was trying to put pace on the game, but really this is all about the clear out. Good move, yes, but create space and play for one another. which is something Carolina's got to figure out how to do. If you're a smaller lineup, it's not about playing with one another. It's playing for one another. How can you maximize the potential of the guys around you, make the game easier for you?
Lampkin again, short. Storovich, Washington, and Trimble on the floor. It's Carolina ball on the arrow. All right, big day college hoops continues after this one in Austin. Texas, another one of those teams squarely on the bubble, hosts number 15, Kentucky. And then 17th ranked Kansas visits Utah. It's a new Big 12 matchup, West Coast prime time at 10 Eastern. Kentucky, a 3 seed in the NCAA's initial early reveal of the top 16 seeds today. The SEC had 5 of the top 6. Jackson misses his second three-point try.
That was good stuff, though. They got a little offensive action, somewhat of a set against the zone, screen the side, draw one, and
this is good set too. Jackson takes it away from Bell and finishes.
Jackson's at his best if he brings energy, right? And that's both sides of the ball. And I think he's a guy like Drake Powell. They put a certain energy on the game. If you start to press with that group, I think that's where you can start to see how dangerous they could be.
Ian Jackson with 5 points early. Back-to-back games where he hadn't made a field goal before that. And Jackson flies in for the rebound here off the missed three. Pushes for Davis. Washington, a rare three-point try. He hits his second of the year.
It's good rhythm, though, into the shot. As a trailer, if you're set and you're stepping into it, it feels like a higher percentage shot than it may be on paper.
By Storovich for Bell. Syracuse's best three-point shooter is off the mark. Washington.
He wanted it.
He sure did. Carlos and Starling at the top of that zone, which used to be the only thing Syracuse would play. Trimble, high post space. Lampkin tips it to himself. Syracuse, a very good defensive rebounding team. And Starling is fouled here. Ian Jackson looks 10-8. Tough season for the Tar Heels, who are trying not to miss the NCAA tournament for a second time in the last 3 years. And Hubert Davis had some very telling comments last Monday on his radio show with the Tar Heels' Jones Angel. This was part of it. The old model for Carolina basketball just doesn't work. There's so many things in play with the NIL, the portal, agents, international players. You need a bigger staff so I can do what I'm supposed to be doing, and that's coaching basketball. And part of that, he said, John, was that I never would have thought in the 4 years that I took the job that I'm 100% on what I need as a general manager. So
yes.
He plans to hire a GM after the year and change the model after Carolina had some high-profile misses as Naheem McLeod finishes in the transfer portal this year.
And I think the more teams go to that model, we talked to Hubert about this, the more teams go to that model, the more it's going to force the NCAA to find some consistency with how things will be done. Because, look, some people will fare better in the Wild West than others. And the old model is, yeah, it's gone in this sense. Doesn't mean you can't make it work, but
the ball is taken off the glass by McLeod, Lubin to 2.
There's a part of me that I think what we're living through right now is like the massive adjustment period, but it's not the stabilized adjusted period, right? We've got to get to that until we really start making long-term decisions. Right now, it's like the next few years, we're going to do what we can do to win, but we need some stability.
Carlos Davis with the block shot, got it back from McLeod. Kyle Cuff has seen the floor for the first time. Going to spark off the bench at times. Carlos, end of the clock. Davis takes it away. A block and a steal on the same possession. And Jackson had it swatted away by Carlos on the other side.
3-on-1, you have to capitalize. There's just no way around it. Sometimes it's best in a 3-on-1 to give it up early, get it back. Just get the defender on head on a swivel.
R.J. Davis yet to score for UNC. Lubin again over the 7-4 McLeod. By Storovich the rebound. No Starling on the floor for Syracuse right now. They've gone to 5 reserves. Wonder where will the scoring come from for this group? The lead score off the bench, Bell at 9.5. McLeod Over Lubin, too strong. And McLeod gets it back. Majstorovic's little flip is in.
Majstorovic has to be utilized more in some way. I mean, even just put him in action because he does good things like sets hard screens, rolls, has his head up, talks. Like, all those little things help everybody.
Davis 3. And he's missed his first 3. Good box out there by Majstorovic, too.
I just think the zone sucked the rhythm out of the game for Carolina. They haven't been able to press it. There you go.
Inside Majstorovic again. Carlos with the find that it's a one-point game.
But you got Majstorovic involved in screening action, and he made the right play by slipping and getting an easy pass. Just get him involved in the action. Good things happen.
Into Lubin. McLeod was late off the ball screen, and a stuff for Van Allen Lubin, who has 4.
First time they were really able to get that defense extended out. Syracuse, I keep, when I can on a made basket, I keep utilizing that zone to just slow the game down.
Carlos swatted by Powell. Trimble sees Jackson down the floor. The explosive freshman is fouled by Cuff.
You set things up and you run good action. All right, here's just a little screening action. He slips it. He's open for a long time. But Carlos has to get to the left side to be able to make that pass. Good roll by Lubin as well. Look, ball screens are the hardest thing to cover. Once teams, opponents, I'm talking about, figure out how to counter whatever you're doing. Problem is, not a lot of offensive players know how to counter ball screens, meaning whatever you take away, are you prepared to instinctually adjust and counter whatever the defense takes away with a better action.
The first free throw miss for Jackson, who had been really struggling the last 7. 19% from 3, just 7.5. Hubert Davis told us he had a lot of long talks with Ian this week. A lot of film watching, reminding him, you are not just a scorer, which you've been your whole life. How can you impact the game in other ways? Can you get an assist? Can you get a steal, a big box out? He's done some of that today.
Well, he just impacted this arena. They get like a free Chick-fil-A for those 2 misses.
Cuff. Rise and yes, Davis squeezes in there for the tip-in. They struggle to shoot, Syracuse, but they are a good rebounding team, and they are staying in this game on the glass. +2, 4 offensive rebounds overall. Cadeau back on the floor. A couple of early turnovers. And there's his 3rd. That is the 18th time this year. Elliot Cadeau said 3 turnovers in 1 game. He's also 18th in the country in assists.
Yes, no, look, kind of both go hand in hand to some degree. Now, part of that is they don't really respect him as a scorer. That's why I say early in the contest, if you can get to the basket and score, make that defense respect you as a scorer so passing lanes open up.
Well, that was thrown away by Carlos, his first turnover. Carlos gets in there. Trimble, no, and it's Jackson again. Flying all over the court. He's got 7.
I like how Carlos kind of showed there, but pulled the chair on him. Trimble's just got to jump over him, mainly because it's fun for us.
And he should be thinking about us when he's on the way up, obviously.
We matter.
Eddie Lampkin certainly thought we did, and we saw our fancy suits. Foul away from the ball, just the 2nd and a half against Carolina. Syracuse has not led. Back and forth we go. Adrian Autry will at least be much happier with his team's defensive effort. He was steaming Tuesday after that loss in Miami. We'll get some of that reaction from Adrian Autry when we come. 69 team went 9-16 under Roy Danforth, and obviously most of those years this was a consistent 20-game winner as Chris Bell hits a 3 for Syracuse. Year 2 under Adrian Autry, longtime assistant for Jim Boeheim. How can this program get back to, if not the full glory days, back to being a contender, a perennial tournament team?
I'd say time and stability. I mean, sometimes it's also as simple as you catch lightning in the bottle, you get the right guys. The 3 goes down for Jackson. But I think it's time and stability. It's not like the program was great when he took over. Like they almost had to reinvent themselves a bit, yet how do you really do that with all the instability in college basketball?
Davis lost it. Last touch by Withers on the floor. It'll be Syracuse ball.
And some geniuses out there would say it's money, right? A check. But does that stabilize you going forward, or does it give you a good year? Does it give you a couple extra years as a coach? I'd say if you're going to put money into the program, you have to have a long-term plan.
Tough stuff by Washington, Carolina's 5th block. Syracuse, unless they go on a crazy run in Charlotte, would be 4 straight years without a postseason, longest drop since 67 to 72. Withers found space, and Jae'Lyn Withers has his first basket.
I think that the other point to that is you want to find identity, silly foul. You want to find identity, but it's really hard to do that when you really can't build teams or programs the way you used to, right? With freshmen who become sophomores, sophomores who become juniors, juniors who become seniors. It just doesn't work that way anymore. So to find consistency, you got to get, I love what Duke did, don't get me wrong. Good luck finding that model, but you got good incoming freshmen, yet you get the right juniors and seniors to maximize their potential.
But Syracuse maybe wasn't thought of as a quote-unquote developmental program in the way that, say, like a modern-day Virginia was, but they really were often under Jim Boeheim. You'd have players that would come in, learn the zone for a year or two. Some notable transfers. Wes Johnson, about 15 years ago, sat out a year, took Syracuse to a 1 seed. I mean, they have so many great developmental success stories, and obviously we're not the first to say this. When people asked, it's just not that model anymore. Like it or hate it, that is not the model in college basketball.
It's a different world. It's a totally different world.
There's 6 to play, first half. Withers, same spot, and rattles it out. And Washington, what? Just got in there and tipped it in.
You know, good for Carolina on that possession. It was one of the better offensive possessions they've had against the zone, where the ball really moved around the perimeter. It got back in. Little ball fake, pass fake, throw the thing inside. They got a good look and a bit of a prayer on the tap in.
Tough from Carlos. Syracuse has not attempted a free throw in the game, just 1 made 3. 6 turnovers. Cup for 3. No good. And a strong rebound by Withers.
It's hard for Syracuse to get to the basket off the bounce with 1 through 4 switching for Carolina, at times 1 through 5. It's just hard to be able to turn the corner.
Powell into Withers again. Out for Davis, yet to score. Chases down his own miss. Oh, there were a lot of hands up on the Syracuse bench as R.J. Davis was following the flight of his miss. Adrian Autry takes a timeout, and we're back at 30 seconds to Syracuse. North Carolina's opened up its largest lead. 9 straight points for the Tar Heels. Here's the last bucket.
Yeah, and you look at the zone. Look, the zone is not about like, hey, I'm covering my area. No, there needs to be urgency, particularly when a shot goes up. Chris Bell, you know, is he leaking out? Is he expecting someone else to get the basketball? I mean, there has to be urgency, particularly in the zone, because you're not on a man. You're just in a space. And if you're not locked in, engaged physically with somebody else, then you got to go find that body, let alone go get the ball. I always make fun of, pick on coaches who will say things like, grab the ball, right? Like you hear that from someone, you're like, yeah, of course, I know. Well, that was a case where grab the ball makes sense.
Yep. J.J. Starling back on the floor with 2 fouls. He had been out since the 11:40 mark. Bell goes to the bench. Syracuse breaks the pressure. Taylor will score. First basket for Lucas Taylor.
I still like the press. I don't care that they gave up a basket. What they get is pace. And then they push it right back up the floor, and you're playing against the man which you've had more success against.
Davis gets a Washington screen, rolls it back to him. Jackson, big step back there, and another three. Ian Jackson exploding in this first half with 13.
He's just really special with his ability to create his own. And the more space he has, the more dangerous he is.
A 12-2 Carolina run. They've gotten hot after a lot of good looks didn't go early. Lampkin on a handoff for Starling. He has yet to score. Syracuse's leading scorer on the year. Here he sets up Davis. His three is rebounded by R.J. Davis.
Right, good recognition from Withers trying to take the charge.
Washington again.
So what about? He's been wanting that for the last 10 minutes.
1 for 12 on the year, trying to hit 2.5. Starling just careens himself into danger. And he'll shoot the first Syracuse free throws of the game.
Yeah, there's a term in basketball we like to say, get it while you're hot, right? I mean, Ian Jackson, yeah, we know that. Washington thinks he's hot too. He's the big man. Ian Jackson's been done good though.
Oh, what kind of madness is going to be upon us in Charlotte? We just know that there will be madness. And Hubert Davis's team probably going to need a couple of wins there to get into the NCAA tournament. Right now, just hoping to get to 15-11 here in Syracuse.
I think that's why both coaches talk about, finding that consistency, building upon that, finding continuity so you can put together a nice run, because the game of basketball is fluid. And the fluidity of the game kind of affords for the hot team to win a lot of games. See that in the NCAA tournament, see it in the conference tournaments. NC State, prime example. They just got hot at the right time. They played with great confidence, a fearless conviction, and then you become really dangerous.
We're going to have the easiest broadcast opens ever that day one of the ACC tournament. Why does this game matter? One of these teams could go to the Final Four.
You're right.
There you go.
There's your hook.
Yep. Starling will take a seat with the 2 fouls. He gets his first points of the game.
There's something to it as well, because you're also hard to scout. If you've kind of been boo-boo biscuits for most of the year, then all of a sudden you're really good. What team are you scouting?
Boo-boo biscuits.
Yeah, I was trying to think
Sounds
of the word.
delicious. Davis step back three. And finally, R.J. Davis gets a 3 to go. His first half, an 0 for 4 start.
He's really struggled from 3 this year, and the struggle started early because it was just a different rhythm, right? The position he's playing, the role he's playing is different, so the shots he gets feel differently.
Majstorovic off his own miss.
Love it. Play him 40 minutes. I just think he contributes in a lot of ways that lie underneath the surface.
Been a little more above the surface scoring today. 6 points, averaging 2-7 on the year. Triple two-hand tap off his own miss.
Triple doing a good job of just getting it up on the rim, knowing that he's got to advantage rebounding that thing.
Carolina by 11, heels have not trailed. Carlos. Majstorovic cleans it up. Taylor shot ready. A 3. Just Syracuse's second of the half. And the lead back to 8 for UNC. Davis gets around the Washington screen. They had Trimble in the corner. A little bit of a late catch. Withers from the other corner. North Carolina 6 for 12 for 3.5.
Carolina's going to hit shots. It's going to be a tough stretch here for Syracuse. Got an interesting lineup on the floor. You've got to run good action if this is going to be the lineup you go with.
Carolina just 271st in the country in three-point percentage. One of the reasons they've had such an inconsistent season. But they have been getting great looks in this first half.
The challenge is you got a small lineup, but at times with Cadeau on the floor, you have one guy that you don't respect from 3, so you lose the space required to capitalize on having a smaller lineup. It's kind of like your advantage really became your disadvantage at that point.
And Cadeau has missed a lot of this half because of 2 fouls, because of early turnovers. Jackson's been terrific. Yep. Lampkin takes it all the way, and one. Eddie Lampkin with a chance at points 7-8, then number 9 coming up at the line.
Kind of attacked with good body control, right? It was almost like the 2-3 years body control where you think someone's going to step in to take a charge. I mean, look how he kind of guides himself. He doesn't go full bore. He probably could have just attacked with no inhibitions.
Washington the foul, Lampkin, 3-point play.
By the way, not a terrible foul there. I'm not sure how much he got in.
Sure. Slight displacement of that. Dan, thank you. Welcome to Central New York, where North Carolina leads Syracuse by 8 minutes ago in the first half. That lead down to 5. With the Orange starting to get hot from 3. Lucas Taylor hits his second. If you're just joining us, you missed a great shooting start by North Carolina, a team that struggled to shoot the 3 this year. They are 6 for 13. And Ian Jackson, a freshman, leading the way with 13 points. Here's Jackson again. Give him 16 and his fourth 3.5.
That's where you break down in discipline. You don't stay on the hip of a shooter on that baseline runner. You go over the top and you get beat. And it kind of nullifies the good offensive possessions you've had if you're Syracuse.
Ian Jackson, back-to-back games of no made field goals. 6 for 8 in this first half after a lot of conversation and meetings with his head coach this week. End of the shot clock, a 3 for Lampkin. That is deflected to Trimble. Carolina will get fouled here. Syracuse has a few to give. But Hubert Davis does have a timeout, so that can allow him to set up the final play. Coming up, the Jeep halftime report. Many of you just saw 1 versus 2, the first 1 versus 2 meeting ever in the SEC. Auburn beating Alabama in a game that absolutely lived up to the hype. And the game of the century for Duke, putting 106 past Stanford. Game summary tonight, we mentioned Jackson. Starling, who averages 18.6 a game, hampered by early foul trouble. For those just joining, John, what else are you taking away from this first 20 minutes or so?
I think there's a lot of positives for both teams, to be honest. I mean, cleaning things up for Syracuse, maybe doing a better job of applying that zone, which was really disruptive in terms of the rhythm. You talked about how Carolina's gotten good looks. Most of those looks have come against man. Their action has been much better. I will also point out that some of these good looks are coming with Elliot Cadeau off the floor. I think they have better spacing. You see, Ian Jackson's just a spectacular talent. And if Washington's going to step out and knock down threes, look out. But a lot of this just comes down to the playmaking ability, the shot-making ability of guys like Ian Jackson, getting R.J. Davis going good. But the key is having good action and good spacing. When you have it, you make a higher percentage of your shots.
Syracuse still has fouls to give, and Taylor reaches in to give one on Davis. First on Taylor, 5th on Syracuse.
Not bad for Syracuse. I mean, J.J. Starling, those fouls came early.
Yeah.
And look, even if he's playing in the game, he's not the same guy when you have 2 fouls. He's not the same guy on defense because he can't touch anybody. He's not the same aggressive guy on offense because he has to be careful of charges. It's not the same player when you got fouls.
Jackson, final shot of the half. Oh, that's not indicative of the way the rest of his half went. 4 for 6 from 3. Ian Jackson to break these first couple of minutes.
You're talking about Syracuse right now? I was barely listening. Look, you've got to be aggressive getting back into this game, and that's certainly how you do it. But the key is getting your defense set. You know, that's what Coach was talking about. We were talking right before the game. He said, we've got to get our defense set. We've got to see the basketball. A great way to get your defense set is to make a couple baskets.
Adrian Autry said to us time and again, we've been in the fight all season long. He wants them to stay in the fight down to the ACC tournament. They give up an easy basket there, though, to Lubin.
The problem for Syracuse is that Carolina's been good on scripted plays. Right? Those are usually the things that are easiest to cover. You force a team into a counter by taking away the obvious.
Carlos on the floor to start the half for Syracuse in place of Elijah Moore. Davis was the miss. R.J. Davis had 5 in that first half for UNC, 1 for 5 from 3. Tar Heels 7 for 15 from 3. Withers, as open as you can be, hits his second. He's got 8.
I actually thought he took rhythm out of the shot by waiting. right? Usually the footwork into the shot creates a rhythm, and you stop. It's hard to make that three. Still got it to go.
Starling penetrating. Davis hot foot into the lane.
Starling just brings so much attention. If he can get to a point where he's a threat, multiple defenders come that way, he makes the right decision, get an easy basket.
How can they get a stop? Tremble. They cannot. Nice, easy fake there. And Starling didn't want to pick up his third.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. And I think for Tremble, the best thing he did there was recognize that he's got the advantage because he's going against somebody that doesn't want to pick up a third foul.
Tremble guarding Starling now, blows by him. Got hit up high by Lubin. No call despite the contact. It is Syracuse ball with 13 to shoot.
Did you want to call there?
I thought he got hit around the neck.
You're so sensitive. Some of us just like the game to be played. And, a little contact's okay. We got freedom of movement. I'm more about like freedom of contact.
No, I'm all about freedom of movement. I got a bumper sticker that says freedom of movement. You can't see it in the snow on the back of the car. Davis with a three for Syracuse, their fourth.
Kind of stayed in there with some late three-point shooting in the first half.
Lucas Taylor hit a couple. He's got 8.
He pulled the Archer out at one point, hit 2 in a row.
He did. Withers. And Jae'Lyn Withers is tied a season high with 11 just a few minutes into this second half.
That's important because it's another spacer on the floor. If he's making threes, you got Cadeau on the floor where you lose a little of your spacing. He's not really respected from 3. If Withers can space the floor and make threes, look out.
Season high third 3. Starling, no. Lampkin, the ACC leader in offensive rebounds, throws it out to Taylor. Back into Lampkin. Double team. Walks around it.
Good for Eddie Lampkin. He really worked on that possession. Got the ball back out and ultimately got right back into a position where he held it sealed, got the ball back and finished.
10-9 Carolina in the first 3 minutes of the half, and free throws coming for Cadeau.
Three-point shooting. Carolina right now, 9-17 if my stats are being updated. They're getting good looks, and I think that's the challenge if you're Syracuse. You're getting open looks, but here's the seal. I told you, get the ball back out. Being assertive about getting that post position again. That's where Carolina, if the ball gets back out, you've got to have the presence of mind not to allow them to get another seal. Kind of get a little lazy by not really keeping your urgency up, understanding what can hurt you the most.
And look, this has been one of the worst three-point shooting teams in Carolina history. And if you're an optimist, you say they're due for nights like this with all the talent on the team.
You sound like my mother when Bryce Harper's like 1 for 12.
He's due.
He's due.
He's always due, Bryce Harper. This is probably not, on paper though, not the 271st best three-point shooting team in the country. Lampkin has it knocked away.
Well, it's interesting because you have individuals that can make shots, but a team that just can't create and sustain a rhythm to make a high percentage.
So what is it about the created, sustained rhythm we've had tonight?
I think a lot of that came with Cadeau on the bench.
Oh, Withers just fell asleep there.
You had better spacing. The defense was chasing more. That's why I said Cadeau, if he's going to be on the floor, he's got to be. That's going to be a foul.
Right on cue, his third.
He's got to be able to get to the basket and finish. If he doesn't finish, they never really respect him enough to get open looks, right? They don't have to fully help, so they're staying home. It doesn't force a long closeout.
His third foul displaces him from the game with Lubin. Jackson, the big scorer, and Washington, he had a very good first half too, off the bench for UNC.
See what you did there with the whole displaces thing.
Thank you.
That's pretty good. You must have gone to school here.
Oh, I don't think so. I think I would pick up that kind of education here, please.
You're such a homer.
Lampkin. And a foul before the shot called by Ron Groover. It's Washington's second.
I like where Lampkin got the ball there because you weren't going to double at that elbow area. And he made the right decision to just attack. And they're only going to double when he gets closer to the basket here. He just set the high ball screen, gets it on the short roll, and then just has the room to make a play. I like it.
Made a few plays off the dribble tonight, Eddie Lampkin. Nestorovich. Carlos open in the corner. Gets it late. Sees Starling. Late catch. No shot there. Starling stepped out of bounds.
It's good action, though. I don't know. Coach Autry over there saying he's being pushed. He's probably right. It's funny how we did the freedom of movement thing and we went crazy about became no-touchy basketball. And we've kind of forgotten about hand checking again.
Hand checking, what's that? Withers. Carolina's first miss of the half after a 4-for-4 start. Syracuse has not led in this game. Been hovering around this score most of the game, down 5-8. Lampkin will get 2 when we come back. So North Carolina trying to move up on the bubble. They're going to need a really hot finish to the season to make the tournament. We'll look at the league around them when we come back. Joe Lunardi's bracket and the NCAA early seed reveal. Clemson and Louisville projected 7 seeds. Clemson, Elite 8 team a year ago. Louisville, maybe the best turnaround in the country. And then here's the group on the bubble. Wake Forest and SMU playing right now on ACC Network, a 34-34 game. Pitt and North Carolina. And look, realistically, and we'll talk to Joe Lunardi a little bit later, Carolina probably has to go 6-1 in the last 7 to have a realistic at-large chance. They're just 1-10 in quad 1. We're saying there's a chance. On paper, they've got a good chance to go 6-1 or 5-2, but they've had trouble finding consistency, John, along the way.
Yeah, I think that's been the issue for a lot of teams in college basketball, but it's something Hubert Davis talked a lot about, where he's like, we just need to do the little things consistently well and then build upon that because they have the talent to win at a high level.
See that since the advent of the quad system 5 years ago, 12 teams have been an at-large selection with 10 or more quad 1 losses. Illinois had the worst record 2 years ago. They were 2-11 in quad 1 and made it. Carolina's 1-10. Duke will certainly be a quad 1 game, but they got crushed by Duke a couple of weeks ago. They really need SMU to win tonight. That was a home win for Carolina this year, and then they probably have to pick off a couple of neutral site games in Charlotte. So it can be done. You can go 3-11, 3-12, and make it with a tough enough strength of schedule. And Carolina's non-conference strength of schedule ranked 8th, but you do need a couple more of those high-caliber wins.
I'm kind of selective with the, like, okay, so you got a lot of quad 1 games, but you didn't win any of them. Like, I want to know who you can beat, not just who you can be beaten by or you're willing to play. At the same time, there are teams out there that, like this team in Carolina, the more they play together, the more they're going to find each other, the more they're going to find themselves, the more we're going to see an actual identity. It's a different look for this team. No Armando Bacot, no big, right? Smaller, you have to be committed to being small. You have to be able to create space when you're small. You got to make it your advantage.
Lampkin taken away by Jackson instead of Rimrocker after the power 3 at the other end.
Yeah, a year from now, Ian Jackson takes that away because he anticipates.
Jackson 16 in the first half, and he'll go to the line here in the second. The late whistle, Adrian Autry is incensed.
I think one of the better things we've done in college basketball outside of fix the whole block charge, which is, thank God, we've rewarded the wall up. And Eddie Lampkin is the guy who just got the foul call, but I felt like he walled up pretty well. If you as a driver make contact with somebody like Lampkin who went straight up, I don't care what your body does after hitting that wall. Right? Let me see, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's leaning a little bit. I would agree with the point I'm trying to make, just maybe not in that situation. Fair enough?
Fair enough. And that was only one angle, so we're not sure. But
it wasn't obvious. It wasn't cut and dry. I'm just saying, I think the wall-up's been a good thing. We have more plays at the rim.
Davis fires away. 1 for 6 now from 3. Here goes Starling. Fouled, and he really just does not go to that left hand on the left side of the lane. Leaves the right-handed layup short, and he will get 2. Jackson second.
Are you one of those guys where, like, hey, you're going to your left, so you got to learn how to finish with your left hand? there's a point where you just stop using your left hand. Like there is. You can do it because you've practiced it. It's kind of second nature. But I can tell you most of the time when I went to the left, I would go up, use the body to protect the basketball, and still finish with the right. Unless it was like a big Kareem skyhook, which was rare for me.
Well, the other part of it, you see this tape on the right thumb, but he fractured the left hand in practice earlier this year, missed 7 games. So how comfortable is he right now? Clearly not, because he shoots a lot of right-handed layups from that side. And that's part of the story of Syracuse's season. A big stretch without Starling, and they've been without Donnie Freeman, who's done for the season with a lower leg injury. Freshman who was averaging 13.5, 8 rebounds in his 14 starts.
And that points back to struggles to find consistency and then eventually find continuity with the group on the floor. If the group is different week to week, I don't think people realize how fragile winning is. Every time I talk to a coach and mention that, I think they all agree, like, wow, yes. Even some of the best teams in the country will tell you, like, winning is fragile.
1 for 2 at the line for Starling. Syracuse back in that zone. Bell on the floor to play one of the wings. We were thinking about the Syracuse-Texas game in Brooklyn earlier in the Syracuse right there in the closing minutes. Adrian Humphrey said, we win that game, you just don't know. You don't know what it does to the confidence level of this group.
Well, then do you win Texas Tech? And then what do you build upon? Like, you're a different team at that point. And the funny thing is, when you really start to build on that, you start to think, how different would the ACC look and feel if that's the case? If there are more quad wins available. I mean, it's a fickle game.
Hey, look, no Syracuse fan wants to hear that. They say win games, lose results. That's it. But it's the reality of how quickly things. Not saying this would have been a tournament team, but just how a game or two changes the outlook of your group. Starling with a jumper, and here's Syracuse starting to find its outlook in the second half, within 5 points.
It was good stuff offensively. I mean, good action. They really lifted the defense, got him wide. It comes off the screen, hits a mid-range jumper. It's good stuff.
Trimble couldn't finish. Lampkin there for the rebound. 1 possession game on a make. Starling! No.
You know what that shot was better than for anybody who thinks that was a bad shot?
A turnover?
Better than a turnover, yes.
Get a good shot early. Washington. Carolina having trouble probing here. Davis passes up a deep 3, tries to create space. Jackson. Washington pushes it up to Davis, and that's the second time he has bounced in a 3 off every other part of the rim.
I mean, it's just a killer when you understand. Again, we talk about winning's fragile. Let's just go back to the last possession. J.J. Starling makes that 3. Now it's a 1-possession game. They come down, second chance opportunity. R.J. Davis touches every bit of the rim, and it goes down. I mean, it's just the way it is.
Those fragile moments where Syracuse has struggled this year. There's a foul on the shot attempt by Majstorovic. Getting a pump up from Eddie Lampkin.
I mean, second chance opportunities. You keep it alive. You're in the zone, so rebounding's different. You got to adjust to it. RJ gets that one back. We'll call it soft touch, shooter's touch. Touch every bit of the rim, whatever. It just goes in. Good stuff. The interior passing for Syracuse. I was surprised. I thought they smacked the glass a little hard. I thought they would call basket interference of some sort.
Foul was Washington's 3rd. And Lubin will replace him. McLeod comes on for Lampkin.
He's huge. Can we just say it? Like,
McLeod,
it's not like the first time I've seen him, but like he's just.
And he'd fallen completely out of the rotation until the last 4 games. He's played 10 minutes a game, and they've been very valuable minutes. He was a starter last year until he got hurt. Tallest player in Syracuse basketball history.
Qualifies as a Giant.
I think so. 7-point game, under 12 to go. Zone again for Syracuse. And Majstorovic blocks the shot right to Lubin. Carolina gets another second chance. Can Davis deliver with it? Feeds Withers, too late on the pass, and a Carolina turnover.
Good defense by McLeod. He's had active hands in that zone. I actually like the zone with McLeod on the floor.
Starling, got it. Starting to feel it. 10 for JJ.
He's able to attack matchups and get to that mid-range, and I just think that's where his game is. There are a lot of Syracuse offensive players like that through the years.
Jackson, got Cadeau and Withers back on the floor for Carolina. Into Withers. The clouds all over. It's Cadeau. Awkward shot. Down to McLeod, and once again, Syracuse can make this a one-possession game.
McLeod in the middle almost allows you to man up. He just covers so much ground.
Starling very high off the window, and more free throws coming. Feel like old school Syracuse here, at zone disruptive with a big guy in the middle, and Syracuse can get this down to 3. It's a game Carolina absolutely positively has to win. Joe Lunardi will have more on that when we come back. It's Joey Brackett's time of the year. Mid-February, Joe Lunardi is with us. First reveal of the top 16 seeds in the NCAA tournament today, or at least the early seed list by the committee. So, Joe, let's start ACC. Where is the state of the league with those 4 teams? How close are they to getting some of those 4 bubble teams into the field?
Starling back to the line for the Orange for 2 shots.
Yep. Yeah. Joe, look, you start doing the brackets pretty early in the season. We all get the emails. And I wanted to ask you, at what point in the season do you start to see the postseason picture a little clearer? And are we there? Yep. Yeah, right.
JJ Starling at the other end just plows into Withers in the paint, makes the basket, and Syracuse can tie this game at the line.
Not sure if Withers was inside the restricted arc or not, but I love the fact that we reward the offense, and it's not that crazy block charge. Kev, I'm so glad about that.
Yes,
that one.
Another one.
You're probably glad too. You don't have to hear it.
Joe, before we let you go, while we have Carolina here, 1-10 in quad 1. Do they realistically need to go 6-1 down the stretch in the regular season with that Duke game as part of that to have a shot to be an at-large team? Right.
Yeah.
Orange personal, number 10, Jae'Lyn Withers. It's his first personal. Team foul number 3.
Joe, we appreciate it. I know we'll be hearing from you and seeing you a lot more over the next month, so get some rest while you can, my friend.
Thanks, Joe.
Joe Lenardi, ESPN bracketologist. Carolina 1-10. This will be a quad 3 game, so this is less about a resume-enhancing win.
Right.
It's more about a game you cannot really afford to lose. They already have a quad 3 loss, which was the home game to Stanford.
Yeah, it's like maybe not a resume builder, but it's a postseason destroyer. Feels like that. But this Syracuse team, they found a little something. I think a lot of it was McLeod's coming off the floor now, but he was really good in the middle of that zone. And it just sucked the life and the rhythm out of the offense for Carolina, who, yeah, you look at the three-point shooting, they have really found it. Right now, 11-24 from 3. But the rhythm was different over the last few minutes when Syracuse climbed back into it.
Here we go now, one shot, guys. One shot, straight in blue.
Eddie Lampkin was riding the exercise bike over there. Back in for McLeod. Davis snapped an 8-0 run. Best free throw shooter in North Carolina history. Adds 2 more. 62-60. Carolina has not trailed.
I like the lineup on the floor for Syracuse. I think it's a good offensive lineup. They got to capitalize on extension.
And they did it.
Yes.
It was Lampkin, and Majstarovic set it up.
No, look, it's really set up by J.J.
Yeah,
Starling
really, the
getting
hockey
trapped
assist.
in a terrible spot. Yes, for the offense, but really, you extend your defense that far out, you get one pass and you're beat.
16-7 for Big Eddie Lampkin. 6th tie of the game. Still 0 lead changes. In the corner of 3. It's good for Jackson. 20 on the board for the fabulous freshman from the Bronx.
Go back to it, though. Majstarovic, the best thing he did was not make the pass to Eddie Lampkin. The best thing he did was make himself available as an outlet for J.J. Starling.
And those little things you're talking about.
Yes.
Lampkin for Bell. Majstarovic trying to get it to Lampkin. They better. End of the shot clock. He missed everything, but he was fouled. Washington had the vice script. It's his 4th foul with 8.5 to go.
Look, we look at it and we say, hey, great pass by Majstarovic. Yeah, but really, he got up. He was an outlet opportunity. Look, he flashes to the basketball. It's the little things. Like, I shouldn't get that excited about that, but I am. Be the outlet. Allow J.J. Starling to pick up the hockey assist, and then a big response. For me and Jackson, who's had a terrific night.
Now the officials are going to review whether or not the shot clock expired before the foul.
What did you think? I thought he got it off, and
so
if that's
too.
the case, it's just a silly, silly foul. Like, look, if he makes an amazing play, so be it. First off, take the baseline away. If the clock's ticking down, do not allow the baseline. And then the last thing you want to do is just a little reachy grab at the end.
That's been a point of struggle for Carolina all season. We knew coming into the year they didn't have a team filled with big guys. Washington and Lubin have had trouble with interior defense. And the whistle comes after, but the question is not necessarily when Jamel Spearman raises the hand. It's when does he blow the whistle? We can't hear there.
Stands on the floor. 13 of North Carolina will be charged a personal foul.
So I should say the raised fist came after, but the whistle probably came before.
Yeah, 20 seconds on the
I
shot
live in
clock.
a world, and you know me, I'm the guy who says I'm not wrong, but doesn't mean I'm right. I live in a world of nuance, and we should be able to officiate with a little degree of nuance, too. They should be able to go over to the monitor and say, yeah, hey, look, I called the foul after the shot clock expired, but the foul happened before, and I should have called it sooner. I like functioning in that world.
Well, while we have a minute, tomorrow it's Pickleball Slam 3. The duel in the desert from Vegas. Steffi Graf and Andre Agassi against Jeannie Bouchard and Andy Roddick right here on ESPN 4 Eastern. No more football Sundays.
Yeah.
Fill your Sundays with pickleball.
Andy Roddick's neutralized by the underhand serve. Welcome to tennis for the rest of us.
Tennis for the rest of us is a great marketing slogan for pickleball.
It's like, yeah,
And you gave it away for free.
Hey, if you've played pickleball, you've been beat up by a 75-year-old with a kickstart knee brace, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. They work you.
I haven't played pickleball, which is solely because I don't want to be beaten up by a 75-year-old with a kickstart knee brace.
Seriously, man. They'll tell you about it, too.
Lampkin just 58% at the line, has got 3 for 4 tonight. Hit the front end of what was a 1-and-1. It's a non-shooting foul. He rolls in both. Another great game for Eddie Lampkin.
Here they are. I mean, here's Syracuse showing that they can stay in games. Can you keep it together? I think the zone's been good. It's been disruptive.
Withers gets the roll and a new season high. 13 for Jae'Lyn Withers.
That's where it's different, right? McLeod can gap a little bit more with his length. Lampkin's got to be up on the ball, which means that backside guy's got to get back underneath to take away any high-low.
Taken away from Starling by Powell. Withers on the switch. Starling. Well short. Here comes Jackson. Good transition defense by Bell. Powell inside. Withers again. Jae'Lyn Withers with the best performance of his season. His graduate season for North Carolina. And he has come on late. Now a season high 15 with 1 more to go at the line when we return.
I feel like Carolina's at their best when they're on the attack, right? We say things like the aggressor. I would say the aggressor usually always wins. Aggressor always wins. For Carolina, when they're the aggressor, they are a dangerous basketball team, both from the perimeter and inside.
Flag, Duke, Cooper Flag things as well. Duke hangs 106 on Stanford.
How good must you be when the compliment is like Cooper Flag's just doing Cooper Flag things? Like, if I ever played well, I was probably compared to someone better, which I thought then was a compliment.
We saw Cooper Flag do it here in the Dome about a week and a half ago, and he was pretty neutralized offensively, but still impacted the game in a lot of ways. Withers again. That is some finish by Jae'Lyn Withers, who has owned this second half.
The whole playing fast is really what makes them tough. And you got to be committed to it. We know the transition game for Carolina is huge. But we talk about make your disadvantage your advantage. Well, that's how you do it. You attack against a defense that isn't set. Lampkin wasn't set. He was moving. It's going to be a foul. And then a remarkable finish from Withers. That wasn't easy, man. I know you could do that in the IMs there, but
you know nothing. Jae'Lyn Withers, double figures his first 2 games of the year. That great game at Kansas, thought maybe he'd step up in a major way. And then double figures just once in Carolina's last 23, none in the last 19. He has exploded tonight. 19 overall and a 9-point lead for UNC. Just moments ago, this game was tied. Lampkin continues to feast. He's got 20. He's 2 shy of a career high, as is Withers, just 1 shy of a career high, beg your pardon.
Withers has been playing multiple positions there, and I actually feel that they go. I actually feel for him on that. I think it's hard to find consistency when you're asked to do a lot as a 4-5 when really you're more like a 3. You know, guys that have to play out of position in some sense of the way, or play a different role that maybe isn't maximizing your skill set, it's hard to find consistency.
Carolina's made this push without Cadeau or Trimble on the floor.
Oh, there's something to that.
Powell, Jackson, Withers, Lubin, and Davis, the 5. Lampkin again. Long pass, and Adrian Autry just can't believe it.
He was saying no before he threw it. And that's how coaches understand the tendencies of their own players. And in that situation, like, let's just get a good one. A post-repost is a great option.
Adrian Autry needs a timeout. Cool down the steam coming out of his eyes. 73-66 Carolina. Said time and again, the margin for error for Carolina very slim. A game they need to win, and they have looked really good offensively with Jackson stepping up after a cold stretch, and Jae'Lyn Withers in his 144th career game, just 1 shy of a career high.
And I think there's better spacing and movement when R.J. Davis has the ball in his hands. This lineup right here may be the most dangerous Carolina lineup they can put together. Trimble and Cadeau, tremendous potential, but in terms of winning basketball, this group's done it. I don't know what that was.
Good travel is what it was. Eighth Carolina turnover, you're welcome. No rhetorical questions on today's broadcast. Cadeau 3 fouls and 3 assists, but 4 turnovers. Trimble just 2 for 8 shooting in the game. So those two have been on the sideline. Trimble for about 2.5 minutes. Cadeau much longer than that. Starling. Syracuse has run the offense through Lampkin. He's double teamed and he is fouled. It's the 9th on UNC, so another 1-and-1 opportunity coming.
I like the double on the bounce, but you almost have to anticipate it, so we really can't turn. I thought that one was good, but just stand your ground, force a tough pass out. Quite often, the tough pass out of a good trap is stolen, and those are the pick sixes that you look for.
And that's a big foul. That's the 4th on Withers.
Did you just see what he did with his eyes? Did he just go full Undertaker with his eyes? Please, God, tell me someone else saw that.
Eddie the Undertaker.
Did he just go Undertaker? See if he does it again. I'm pretty sure. Look, it's cool, but I'm a little creeped out, and I may have nightmares. Sorry. Sometimes it just turns into a stream of consciousness. I didn't go to school for this, Kevin.
I don't think we needed to inform the audience of that, but thank you. 5-point game. Lampkin's tied a career-high 22. Cadeau is back out there. Withers sits with the 4 fouls.
The defense by Lampkin, showing high, taking R.J. Davis away and then getting back. He's working hard.
And he had limped off the floor after the under 8. He knocked knees with Withers. Now he steps up to guard Cadeau, trying to bend it in. Cadeau will shoot it instead, and cold off the bench delivers.
If he's going to be on the floor, he's got to be a willing scorer. Meaning you got to seek it out. The more you seek it out, the easier the passes are going to be for assists.
Carlos Majstorovic, Starling, and an offensive foul against Majstorovic negates that possession.
That might be my least favorite thing in college basketball right now, aside from a lot of other things that just aren't recent. There's so many calls on screens, like the handoff screen. You should be allowed to hand the ball off and make a little bit of contact. I get the butt screen, right? The hip check, the roll and take a guy out. We want to clean that up. But you should be able to make a little contact on a handoff. Otherwise, as a defender, you know what I do? I run into guys and get the call.
Ends up as the 6th team foul, so Carolina's in the bonus. Jackson trying to penetrate the zone again.
I like where they're putting Cadeau, though, playmaking position in the middle of the zone.
He bounces to Davis, drives and fires, 3rd three.
Part of the issue against the zone is Cadeau, they're flattening out, right? It's making it harder to move the basketball. They close passing lanes by flattening because they're not worried about Cadeau shooting. You put him in the middle, he's a playmaker from that position.
Carolina has just tied a season high, 13 made threes. Lampkin fighting for his own miss. Couldn't get it one-handed. Chance to really pull away here now for the Heels.
Lampkin's really working. You got to give him credit. He's been fighting, riding the bike when he's not in the game, limped off, doesn't matter. He's really competing.
22 and 8 in 30 minutes. Jackson inside Carlos. Driver finds Powell. And a rebound high-pointed by Taylor. Nice job by Carlos. That was smart. And the basket will count. Whoa. A continuation for Carlos, who collects Cadeau's 4th foul in the process.
That was a smart play. I mean, you got to put your head down, get your shoulder into a defender that's not set. And then the presence of Clemson. They're a really good but sneaky good team.
Well, less quiet after last Saturday, certainly, when they beat Duke. And they beat Carolina on Monday, which was tied for the largest win in Clemson history over UNC. Go back to 1977 for that.
I'm thinking more so in terms of a quality team that could win games in the postseason. And part of that has been like the superficial knock on the ACC. I get it. But that's a good basketball team. So is Louisville. Louisville's a good team.
Three-point play for Carlos. Lead is 7. Carolina has not trailed in the game. They've hit 6 of their last 8. Davis, Cadeau's on the floor with 4 fouls. Washington Withers on the bench with 4, and that is a really silly foul against Carlos. It's going to send Jackson to the line for a 1-and-1.
It's a silly foul, but it's the foul that a really dangerous offensive player is able to get, right? He's just so dangerous with the ball that you want to disrupt. You want to make him uncomfortable. You get up into him, try to make it tough to handle the ball. He just, I gouged him.
He is going to take another beat here. 75% free throw shooter.
Surprised they don't sell like the Jackson wig at the bookstore.
Have you been to the Carolina bookstore?
If one was for sale, I'd know about it.
You think so? You've got friends in all sorts of places. Jackson again, scoreless Saturday against Pitt. Did not score until free throws in the final 92 seconds Monday. So great return to form for him with 20. 1-and-1. Gets the first.
I just want to see if Eddie Lampkin goes back to the free throw line.
Here are the numbers, the last 7 for Jackson. 5 threes, ties a season high. And this is the second. It's an 8-point game with 3.5 to play. Syracuse has not made a sub in the last 4 minutes. Starling. Boy, what a tough shot that is.
that's a remarkable play overall. And a good job by Eddie Lampkin, not rolling too hard. He actually allowed for the space for Starling to make that play.
Withers is back in there, 4th to go. 3 to play. Davis senses an opening. Missed it. And Powell's there on the spot. Couldn't finish. Rebound Starling.
Syracuse dodged one.
Starling cut off. Carlos will call JJ back to the ball. He's got 17. Just shy of his average of 18-6. Would be 3rd in the ACC with enough games to qualify. Starling, long steps, and Powell gets that out of here. Jackson all the way, brings it in. 23 for Ian Jackson.
That's a big shift. Starling had Lampkin on the roll, just missed him.
Taylor then tried to hand it off to Lampkin. Lubin stepped in the way, and then Lampkin knocked it out on the way. It's North Carolina ball.
We talk about the fragility of winning, right? I mean, here's a great opportunity. If you can get that ball to Lampkin, he's there on the roll. It goes the other way, a layup for Jackson, and then another turnover.
Number 3, Elliott.
10 turnovers for Syracuse, -2 in this game. They are minus 50 turnovers in ACC play. 30-second timeout. We'll see if Carolina can close this out. 2:20 to go. Back in 30 seconds.
Checking in for Syracuse, number 13, Jae'Lyn Withers.
(81-73) North Carolina. Ian Jackson 23, 4 shy of a season high. Jae'Lyn Withers a season high 19. Eddie Lampkin has been awesome, but Carolina, which has struggled to shoot all year long, has gone crazy from deep. 13 of 28 from 3 tonight. And Jae'Lyn Withers, again, no double-figure games in the last 19 has come to life.
A little more free-flowing on the offensive end. And he's a guy who's really, it's not about the position you play, it's about the role you have to play. And the truth is, in a fluid game like basketball, your role itself becomes fluid. So you have to adjust to each game, and I think that kind of what points to some of the inconsistency we've seen from Carolina this year. The roles have been different, so the consistency hasn't been there. He's been terrific tonight. Needless to say, I think he likes the role he's playing this evening.
He likes his opponent too. It's his 4th career double-figure game against Syracuse. A couple of those at Louisville where he started. He was an ACC all-rookie selection 4 years ago.
You're full of nuggets.
Thank you, I think. Syracuse going to put some pressure on. A deflection by Majstorovic. Carolina's got to get it across here with possession. It's a rugby scrum. They've got the arrow. They barely got it across half court in time.
I always wonder, there are teams that they have to put the press on late to maximize possessions down the stretch and pick the pace of the game up. And they look great. Like Syracuse looked great in that press. You wonder, is it that they should do that more often, or is it because Carolina hadn't seen it at all and they didn't really prepare for that, so they struggle against it?
Here's a troubling sign. J.J. Starling just holding the back of his right leg. Moving gingerly.
He's had to work. He's really worked on both sides.
He has not had a lot of easy shots all season, and he's still scoring nearly 19 a game. Jackson, turbo charge to the rim. Just missed it deep. Didn't know his own strength. Carlos. And Withers throws it right to an onrushing Starling down and scores! Just twisting himself into a pretzel.
The body control in some of his finishes has been remarkable. I mean, fun to watch, and he is working. And Withers, I mean, as great as he's been, foul trouble's been the problem. I thought they were trying to foul Withers. He picks up his 5th on that one. Minute 45 is still a lot of time. Right now the pressure's picking up. It looked like they were trying to foul Withers. Really early to start fouling, but it worked out.
And Withers does foul out of the game, so one shy of a career high. Still a fabulous game, but he exits with a minute 45 to go. He had 19. And now Starling has 20. He's 8 for 8 at the line tonight.
No McLeod, no Lampkin. They're putting the pressure on.
Boy, they got 2 timeouts. Davis to Powell. Carolina struggling mightily, but now it's a nearly a 2-on-1. Good play by Jackson.
Yeah, he could have thrown the lob, but smart play.
He almost e-fisted across the timeline, but Carolina can reset, and then Adrian Autry might blow a top as Majstorovic is called for a foul at midcourt. And he fouled the wrong guy, too.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, you don't want to put R.J. Davis on the free throw line. You did your job up until that point. Sometimes you just go out there casually, and a great player like R.J. Davis knows how to work the foul.
Well, Davis with a 1-and-1. Best free throw shooter by percentage Carolina history. He's not going to lead them in scoring, which he has done in 7 straight. It doesn't appear. He's got 14 tonight, but 6 assists, 1 turnover. Playing more with the ball in his hand.
That is going to be the key. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like this team, when he's got the ball in his hands, I just feel like they create a better rhythm. I think they were able to do that tonight.
A surprising miss. It's a 2-possession game if those possessions are worth 3. Starling, foul, couldn't finish, but he'll go back to the line where he has lived. And Trimble, who's barely played in the half, picks up his 2nd.
It's hard to contest tough shots while not fouling, right? It's a bad angle shot. You almost have to train yourself to just contest the shot, don't stop the shot. That's not a high percentage look from Starling. And if he makes it, so be it. But the last thing you want to do is foul.
18 of his 20 in the second half, Starling. 9 for 9 at the line tonight.
He's been good. I mean, a lot has been asked of him. To do a lot with the basketball, bring defense away. You know, he's getting double team out top of a ball screen. He's able to pass out of it. They're scoring. He's made tough shot after tough shot. A couple circus shots.
In a career that has been set back by injuries time and again. Shoulder and knee injuries. Started at Notre Dame. Fractured hand here. He's been moving a little slowly down the stretch. But he is just an awesome shot maker with the game on the line. And he's got 22. 4-point game. And Powell throws it into Cadeau. Quick trap comes and a foul. I don't think Adrian Autry wanted that. A very quick whistle. 1-1 for Cadeau, who is only a 68% free throw shooter.
He didn't want that. Maybe something that said grab on the shoulder. I mean, that's like when you tap on somebody's shoulder and go the other direction. I just, as tough and physical and contested as this game is, who knows? Maybe it's a ball don't lie situation.
It was called on Taylor, his second. So this is the last 1-1 in the game. Oh, wow. It was a ball don't lie situation. Brilliant foul, Adrian Autry. Great strategy. Starling slashing. No. Got it back. And got it back from Carlos. Trimble's all over him. 1 minute to play. Starling determined to get the shot off. And a foul against Carolina. Lampkin was fouled. Who's this on? It's Washington. It's his fifth.
Wow.
So 2 Carolina players have been disqualified, and Eddie Lampkin will shoot 2.
It's just the attack from Syracuse makes you really difficult to cover. You're not going to help off and give up an open 3. Starling, she's just working his way there. Yeah, it's just.
Look at Lampkin. He's going 1 on the whole Carolina team, basically, here.
He's going to go Undertaker on you from the free throw line.
Boy, Syracuse, which is not a great free throw shooting team, has got 19 of 21.
They've really worked. And this is where you do feel for teams that are struggling to win games. Like, they still practice. They still care. A lot of their identity is rooted in their ability to win games, right? And they've been there. They've been close, and they fought their way into this one.
Jackson back for Trimble. Lampkin, one of the best free throw shooting nights of his life. He's 8 for 9.
But look, it's been the whole game. He is working his tail off, man. Absolute. Both offense and defense, and now the crowd's a few seconds left. They're into it now.
Cadeau, 15 to shoot, spins around Carlos, a big basket for Elliot Cadeau. 2-possession game again. Carlos swings it. Kyle Cuff, barely played in the game, bricks a 3. And Syracuse has to foul now. This will be the guy to foul. You can't. I mean, they foul the absolute wrong guy. And Davis, great situational awareness by North Carolina. Adrian Autry can't believe it, and Davis will go to the lineup for
Cadeau. I mean, this might be play of the game, and Carlos cannot get beat to the basket in that situation. That's the one thing. You've got to wait. KYP, know your personnel. That goes both ways, offense and defense. You got to know who you're covering. You got to understand the scouting report. The little things, those little disciplines are what make you win or lose basketball games. But a good play by Cadeau. Which is a variant of what both coaches talked to us about today. Little spurts, little bubbles of time that have taken their seasons off course. And Carolina hoping there's still a chance to get it back on course here with a lot to play for. Tiny bubbles, Kevin. So 1 more for R.J. Davis. It's a 6-point game, and Hubert Davis will use his 3rd timeout. All right, quickly, let's go to Kevin Connors back to the studio. Kev?
Thank you to the most polished, most notable Kevin on our college basketball coverage today, Mr. Connors.
Nicer Kevin.
That's
too.
right. Proud Ithaca Bomber. So, look, Carolina, Syracuse, down years obviously, but 2 of the 7 winningest programs in Division I history. They haven't had a ton of nights like this, but forget the records.
Yeah.
This has been a really fun game. Maybe not if you're a fan of these teams and you're having some palpitations, but very entertaining to watch. Great offense, great rhythm, specifically for UNC. And if Carolina can hang on, a lot to feel good about.
I think first and foremost, you got to look, are both teams fighting?
Yes.
Are they competing? And that's what you ask for the most. There are games out there that I've watched where it didn't look like Carolina truly competed. And there are games out there where it didn't look like Syracuse competed. Both teams are competing tonight. That's really all you can ask for.
I know Syracuse only hit 4 threes. At some point, they're going to need one. We'll see if this is the point. Well, Starling will drive it, try to draw the foul, missed badly. Lampkin. Got to be a 3 now. Carlos around and out, and it's Syracuse ball with 12.4 to shoot. There's probably not enough time to get 2 here. And Carlos will inbound it with Bell, Taylor, Starling, and then Lampkin, who's only attempted 5 threes on the year.
Lampkin has an outlet there.
I mean, Lampkin, all right, it's a 2, but it's still a 2-possession game. Now you have just 9.6 to go.
But by the time you pass the ball out, you start moving around, the game's pretty much over. You got to take the shot at that point. He was just an outlet and a screener.
So here's what we're talking about for UNC. Can they go 6-1 in the final 7? These are the percentage chance, according to ESPN, to win the remaining games. NC State and Virginia. They'll be big home favorites in those 2 and in Miami. They'll be a favorite at Virginia Tech. Florida State, a little bit of a tighter game, and then Duke at the end. Now look, they almost lost to NC State earlier in the year. They almost lost to BC and Georgia Tech at home. So they haven't steamrolled everybody, but it's a more favorable schedule after what has been just a 25-game gauntlet, including the
I
non-conference.
think when you break them down, though, you start to see the framework for how they can win, right? I think that's ultimately what you look for as a coaching staff. It's not just, oh, what do we need to do to win? Well, no. Who are we? And how does that team win basketball games consistently? I think you're seeing that here. I think R.J. Davis with the ball in his hands it's imperative.
Trimble. Carolina has a timeout. Got it into Powell. And he's a 63% free throw shooter. So that's the right person for Syracuse to foul statistically. The freshman 19 for 30 on the year. It's Starling's 3rd foul. Powell can just about put it away at the line.
Go back to it. He talked in the open about you don't just win with talent anymore. It's about building a team. It's roster formation, all these things we talk about. It's finding consistency and then building upon that to the point where you have continuity. There are a lot of talented dudes on both teams. That's why we say winning's so fragile. It's not just about talent or ability.
Friendly finish for Powell. All right, Lampkin was coming in for Taylor. Then Taylor came back to the court. Then he doubled back to the sideline. So with the big man in there to rebound. Syracuse is going to have to score lightning quick. And a great job by Powell, who hits both. So now it has to be a 3. Carlos. Storovich, and taking too much time, and time's going to run out, and it's a 2. North Carolina wins it, a game they never trailed. Syracuse tied it a couple of times, a great fight. Ian Jackson was awesome early, and North Carolina wins it 88-82. They had to have it. They got it on a really entertaining Saturday.